A team of journalists at ERBC and True FMs. We are here with a lawyers representing all disassociated members from the Methodist Church. Councillor Imaiwa Toma. Councillor, wants to welcome to the media.
Thank you, members of the Fourth Estate. Thank you for the opportunity to set the record straight on some of the myths that have been spilled in the public regarding the incidents of yesterday and the police director's interview with LBS of this morning.
Okay. And so what do you have to say in connection to that?
First, I'd like to inform the public that under the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, every citizen has a right to associate and disassociate. Particularly with this case, there was a change of the doctrine of the Methodist Church, and we all, as worshippers, were entitled to taking a position as to whether we agree with the change or we don't agree. Those of us who do not agree with the changes, we have the option to disassociate. Some of us disassociated as individuals from our churches, but others disassociated as a church group, taking the appropriate votes to change their position. So since yesterday's case, the biggest of all came from 72nd United Methodist Church, the 72nd Church, I'd like to share with the public through this medium some of what had occurred at 72nd leading to yesterday's incident. In October of last year, 72nd United Methodist Church at that time resolved to disassociate from the Methodist Church in rejection of the decision of the General Conference changing the Book of Discipline and redefining marriage and other ills as are contained in the Book of Discipline. That resolution was served on the conference at the office of the bishop. During the annual conference of February 2025, the bishop went ahead to appoint pastors to all the churches that have disassociated, including 72nd Church. When 72nd heard of the appointment of pastor to their church, they wrote a reminder to the bishop that they have disassociated from the church and therefore were not a church for the bishop to appoint pastors to. That letter was written on the 17th of February 2025. 2 days thereafter, on the 19th of February, the bishop was writing the Ministry of Justice addressed to Councillor Charles D. Camo as acting minister and asking for police assistance to impose his newly appointed pastors on churches that have disassociated. That was in direct contravention of the people's right to disassociate. And in an apparent adherence to the bishop's letter, the Ministry of Justice sent police to all the churches that have disassociated from the Methodist Church, including 72nd, to impose pastor on those people. The day after the bishop's letter, 6 thugs attacked 72nd UMC. Because the congregation was larger than the thugs, they succeeded in apprehending 3 and turned them over to the Liberia National Police at the Jacotown Police Depot with a complaint. It will amaze you to note that the police set the suspects free without you taking a statement from them and let them to go. The following day, 72nd people wrote to the Police Inspector General complaining the Jacotown Police Station and attaching pictures of the thugs.
So you have the complaint?
I'm going to share all I'm saying here. The copies are here. I want to share them with the media for the consumption of the public. Here they are in a bundle. And so the thugs were allowed to go free. But yesterday, the police was at the church. They met peaceful worshippers. The church building is closed, and the people are worshiping in the churchyard. Police Officer Prince Cassell, whom I'm told had just been promoted to the position of Chief Inspector, was the one heading the police at the church yesterday, They tear gas the worshippers because they wanted access to the place at the request of the bishop through the Ministry of Justice, and they bust the people church door open and seize themselves of authority to sit down in the church. The police are being misinformed, told the media this morning that the police was executing a court order. There was no court order that was on execution. There was no court order on execution. Here was the issue with the court. The Peace and Ministerial Court cited 72 people to a conference on Saturday. At the close of the conference, the Sabine Direct Magistrate, William Sega, issued something he referred to as conference order. That order was immediately appealed. When the ruling of a court when the ruling of a subordinate court is appealed, it serves as a stay. And because it served as a stay, there was no sheriff executing that order. There was no execution order, but the police took upon itself because of it being compromised to go to the church, using that order as a pretext while it is still on appeal process, to beat the people up, round them up, reputable people. Reverend Dr. Jerry P. Kula, of all persons, was incarcerated yesterday in his clerical. He spent 2 hours in jail.
Now, counsel, with all that you explained and being a lawyer representing the members who disassociated themselves from the Methodist Church, is it prudent that instead of leaving and maybe having a church of your own, and then maybe going back to the Methodist Church to have services, do you think it was prudent? Because a lot of people are saying that if you're breaking away, leave the Methodist Church properties and then go and find your own. So why are you taking this stance?
So the public has been misinformed about how property ownership works in the Methodist Church. In the Methodist Church, property ownership varies. There are properties that are for the conference, there are properties that are for the local churches. And when we go to conferences, the conference board of trustees has a list of conference properties, and they may report every year at the annual conference. The properties of the local churches are for the local churches. They are bought by the local churches and built by the local churches. So when the local church breaks away and say they're breaking away with their property, if there is a dispute, if there is a question as to the title, it's obviously available to the court to decide. It does not invite the intervention of the police to decide who owns the property against whom.
But we've gathered reports that most of the properties belonging to the Methodist Church in Liberia are deeded.
The local churches that are disassociated all have deeds to their properties. I challenge the Liberia Annual Conference to claim deed to the properties and to take any legal action there too. I challenge anybody from there.
So what become of the deed that the late President Joseph Jenkins Roberts did give to the Methodist Church in Liberia?
It is not a money properties in dispute.
It is not?
No. The J.J. Roberts property is not a money properties in dispute, and I just got that misinformation from the police headquarters right now, where I have just returned from having a conference. The Republic, through the police, have been misinformed that the church's conference property, especially property left behind by J.J. Roberts, are the one being claimed by these churches that are disassociated. That is not true. These churches are not attaching claim to property that were not made by them. They are only attaching claim to properties made by them, acquired by them, built by them, and used by them during their time with the Methodist Church.
Counsel won't listen to your claim. We say this internal wrangling is far from over.
I don't see the reason why it should be far from over, except that my former bishop,
It's Bishop Kula that you are representing mainly. Has he been called in for a conference after he was released yesterday, temporarily released?
we were told by the Inspector General of Police to come to the headquarters this morning at 10 o'clock for a conference into the matter. We were at the headquarters way before 10 o'clock. We were kept there till 12:30. We were informed that the police RG was engaged with other matters. But to a courtesy, two of the deputies, Deputy for Administration and Deputy for Crown Services, came and had a meeting with us. And all they could say is that this matter is best suited at the court and not at the police. So the parties should make use of the court.
So what do you intend filing before the court?
We will defend our clients with every ounce of the law. With every ounce of the law, and with all our ability, and with all our strength.
Once listen to you could say probably you are concentrating on running to the Supreme Court.
We're not going to leave any stone unturned. If the Supreme Court is the best place to give us the remedy that are necessary for this action, we will not hesitate to seek it.
Now, Council, the issue about regionalization is top on the agenda concerning Methodist churches and those that broke away. What do you make of that?
So regionalization is one of those concepts, and it's a concept. Regionalization is not a doctrine, it's a concept. And the concept is that conferences, regional conferences should adopt some sort of rules for themselves that suit their purposes. But there's a caveat. Those rules will not affect chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the 2024 Book of Discipline, which came into effect in January of this year. And all the issues we're talking about with homosexuality, ordination of gay pastors, and consecration of gay bishops are all located in those chapters that you cannot change. So the whole issue of regionalism is a typical manipulation of the process to keep the church under a book of discipline that is written with gay right protections. And not just a protection, but with ordination and protection for gay clergy present to mount pulpits and preach. In other words, the sins of the wealthy from the states they are no longer recognized as sins. But guess what the book of discipline recognized as sin? Double marriages that we call polygamy. That book of discipline condemns it as a sin. But men sleeping with men and getting married to men is allowed by the book of discipline, and those persons are allowed ordination as pastor and consecration as bishop to preside over worship.
There seems to be a lot of skepticism concerning the Methodist Church saga, because I remember over the weekend Bishop Quire did issue a statement basically on biblical teachings that he said the church do yield to marriage being as a man and a woman, and so it's in line with the Liberian laws.
The strategy of the bishop is to have a congregation who's up to a book of discipline that is reading with all the ills, yet by himself already he professes something else. A bishop really truly does not believe in gay right. Why are the pastors and lay members who reject gay right being suspended? Ask yourself the question, and ask Bishop the question. Why is the conference women leadership suspended? Why were they not allowed accreditation to the annual conference? Why were the young adult leadership, from the president to the entire leadership, suspended and barred from attending the annual conference? Why are district superintendents, pastors, and lay persons, the lay leader of St. Paul River District, why are all these members suspended from the church? Only one reason: because they reject gay right and regionalization. So Bishop cannot be suspending these people, removing them from the church, and telling us if we don't agree with gay right and regionalization, we should leave the church. Then come to the public and say he doesn't agree. That's an irony of purpose.
When that's talking to you, Council.
I'm very pleased. I pray that through these engagements, the public is put in proper knowledge of the developments in the Methodist Church. And like your question, Kerry, I doubt this is far from over, except that the public deserves to know on a case-by-case basis how we are progressing. As for us who have disassociated, we remain steadfast to the law. We simply exercise our constitutional right to associate and disassociate, and we will defend our constitutional right to properties, to every ounce of our properties that are made by us and were used by us during our time with the Methodist Church.
Thank you.